Why is it not showing me the live preview? Oh, there it goes. Hello. Is my mic too loud? It might be. Let me see. Hello? Hi. I'm Brad. I swear to God, I hope everything's good. Just gonna make sure everything is working correctly. Good. I'm very, very professional. Welcome everyone. Yeah, I'm weekly. We'll call this a weekly stream for now. Except it might be multi-weekly. Is that how you say it? Because there's a lot of stuff coming up. But I didn't get to post any videos this week because mostly stuff I'm working on outside of YouTube got a little crazy. As well as just personal stuff. So I wasn't able to make a video or anything. I have like 4 videos like planned. Yeah, I couldn't get any of that done. So I thought I would do a stream. But I honestly like doing streams. Streams are really more helpful, I feel like, for communicating things, because when I do a video, I do my best, but sometimes I cannot recap things as well. Or like I will discuss something, and since it's a video, once I put it out there, someone in the comments section or multiple people might not understand a concept I was going over in a video. So I kind of do enjoy doing live streams more, purely because I can watch my chat. So if I say anything and someone's confused, I can be like, no, this is what I mean, just to, it's clarity is very important when you do this kind of weird rumor speculative stuff. So yeah, anyway, I'm always confused. Good. What's meta Avalanche? We'll get into that a little bit. I have a little bit more to share about that. Not too much, just a little bit. So I'm also coughing a lot. I've been coughing for the past 2 weeks. I'm not sick with COVID or anything. I just have a cough that I can't get rid of. So I'm sorry if I cough a lot. Anyway, so we're going to be doing a recap of really just, I guess you could say, a lot of the stuff you've probably seen on the news, maybe on VR news websites. But I mean, a couple of these stories credit me to begin with, because, you know, a lot of me and my nerds that I work with tend to find a lot of the interesting VR news to begin with. So it's just me regurgitating information from news websites that was originally found by people I work with. So it's funny. But I do want to give some more clarity and maybe some more details for people that want to know what we found. And that's mostly relating to like Meta Avalanche, for example. And there was also a couple things that happened last week that I want to go over because it wasn't really covered in any of the journalist websites that I think is very notable, relating to Qualcomm showing off their new AR glasses, smart glasses reference design. And I think there's something that should have been talked about in all those websites. So I'm kind of a big deal. No, not saying that, but like, you know, I as someone that just is obsessing with this stuff all the time, when there's like one thing that's not covered in a website, I'm like, I gotta be the one that gets that out there, otherwise it'll drive me crazy. It's like a mental disorder, I think. So yeah. So anyway, but before we go that, I've been doing weekly meetups in VR chat with anyone who wants to join me every Saturdays. And this was This was a picture from our last meetup. I just want to. This is how cool VR AR stuff is. So this, a community member that joined the meetup, they told me that they 3D scanned their room with their phone, their iPhone, photogrammetry, and they made it into a VR chat world. So I'm like, hey, we have like 30 people. Let's all go into your bedroom and lay on your bed and stuff. And we did, and we took pictures. And there's like, this is just like such a cool thing, and we got to see their anime and booze collection, and it's just like, I don't know, this is the kind of stuff that I really like, and I just wanted to show those pictures before we go on. But it's also really important because I think we're going to be having WWDC in like a week from now, which is Apple's big worldwide developers conference. And they're expected by a lot of people to announce some new software stuff related to what will be important for their opinions on XR, AR, VR. And I highly imagine that photogrammetry is one of those things, or something called NERF, which is like taking 2D images and making 3D models out of 2D images. That seems like a big importance to a lot of stuff related to XR. So I wanted to kind of start with this to get off of that, but we'll talk more about the Apple stuff in a little bit. Yes. Anyway, Qualcomm and their reference designs. One day there'll be a week where they don't have a new reference design. Yeah, it feels like that, but at the same time, I think that companies do tend to use their reference designs, and like there's already evidence. Let's just hop into Meta real quick. A few things that happened this week related to Meta. I want to do Meta first so I can get it out of the way. I don't really care much about talking about Meta because I feel like I talk about it too much, but there are a few things that are notable. So this is the Facebook incubator. It gives off whenever sometimes things kind of leak out to this GitHub. I think they're literally required to publish some things because they're using like the Android kernel or whatever. But some of these things give details on what they're working on, or what displays they might want to use for future products, or what they're prototyping internally and stuff. And there's a few things I want to go over. And the first thing I reported not too long ago, I think I made a whole video pretty much saying that Facebook or Meta is working on a bunch of different products because they're trying to create an ecosystem of hardware, similar to what Apple already has. For example, they want to make a watch, they want to make glasses, they want to make VR headsets. They're just trying to expand to everything right now, right? And in that, I was reporting on this Kona AR glasses overlay, and like basically Meta was working on smart glasses, or building software for smart glasses, or their own layer of their operating system for something internally. And Kona, this was before the Qualcomm reference design was announced, almost like I would say 3 weeks before. And Kona is the code name for the Qualcomm series of chips that is the 865, 865 Plus, and 870. And the XR2 chip, which is in Quest 2, Pico Neo 3, every standalone VR headset pretty much right now. It's using a Kona XR2 chip, which is based on 865. So when we saw this stuff, and we saw a lot more than just Kona AR glass, and we saw Kona V2, which was interesting because I was reporting also that they are seemingly making a small tweak, Qualcomm themselves, to the XR2 chip, and it's probably a very small, minor tweak. My guess it's related to literally just including like Fast Connect 6900 so they can have Wi-Fi 6E built in and stuff like that. But yeah, we saw this before the reference design. And we also saw a lot of stuff related to what kind of displays they would use for smart glasses. And you can see here, this is all in Meta's prototyping branch and stuff. And right here, DSI Dual AR Glass SIA video. They were using 49.4, half an inch, two of them half-inch micro OLED displays from SIA Tech, and yeah, with 1080p and everything. And then literally 3 weeks later, we saw this. Qualcomm announced their XR2 Gen 1 reference design glasses. So, I mean, I don't know what else to say, but when you see the exact same specs, and down here you'll see even right here, this reference design is using dual 0.49-inch micro OLED displays at 1080p, and the partners are Guartech and SIA Technology. The SIA Technology, again, is the one that was doing the displays, or the spec for the displays in this thing I was just showing you a minute ago. And Guartech is pretty much the main manufacturer for all Quest headsets, like the final, put everything together. So it's pretty clear to me that Facebook is at least definitely has this hands-on and is one of those major partners that Qualcomm is working with to see if this might turn into a product for people. There's also rumors that Facebook is working on a codename Hypernova AR glasses. Now, the one thing I always like to talk about for AR glasses is people always wish that AR glasses are going to be like the immersive, like sci-fi concepts where you'll put on AR glasses and it'll just be a super immersive, full FOV experience like we get from VR headsets. The truth is, that is still ridiculously far away, and most glasses, even powered by an XR2 chip, are going to be very basic. I mean, I think this has like a 40 degrees field of view or something like that. And AR glasses is a huge problem. They're just there's multiple things. You need better optics, because the optics used for AR glasses are incredibly inefficient and terrible still, honestly. They're just bad. They're really bad. And the good ones that are good are super expensive to make. There's no supply chains built for them. And yeah, that's just the optics problem. And then you have displays. Well, when you need super bright displays that are tiny and don't have any weird issues to actually get a bigger FOV, or just, if you take these glasses outside and you're expected to walk around in pure sunlight with an AR glass, you have to literally fight the sunlight. So you need super bright displays, and that's also because the optics are inefficient as well, so you're not even getting a lot of that light that's being emitted off the displays, and you just have tons of issues with displays, optics, and then you have to think about processing power as well. You have to put a tiny chip onto these glasses, like, and it has to be not heavy and well weighted and all these things. Like, AR glasses are a mess, and I don't see a dream sci-fi AR glass even coming around for like 10 years. Even though the entire industry is very focused on AR, and I think that is why we're seeing mixed reality headsets, because the hope is that we'll figure everything out eventually. For now, let's focus on AR through camera pass-through with mixed reality devices, and just hope that the AR hardware issues come along over time. So, yeah. It's a mess. But it's funny, because the reason why I rant about this is because I go on, so I've been focusing a little more on the Apple side of things, so like, because they feel like they're really close to finally getting into XR, like seriously, right? And I go into articles like on Mac Rumors or 9 to 5 Mac, all these Apple focused websites. And I go on there, and they talk about how they're going to release a mixed reality headset, and it looks like a goggles or whatever. And I go into the comments or the forum talking about this, and all the people are like, there's no way Apple's releasing a VR headset or MR headset. They're going to release these amazing AR glasses. These people are in a dream world where they think Apple has this magic wand that can figure out all the issues with AR, and like, yeah, they don't think Apple will get into in the XR industry until all the problems are solved. But if that was true, then they would be waiting another 10 years and they would lose this entire industry. So it's a rant that gets stuck in my brain because of the stuff I read online. Yeah. So I'm sure Apple would love to release small form factor AR glasses, but they need to make a move now. Yeah, that's exactly it. Like, you're going to see a lot of mixed reality devices, not because it's easier to do, it's because that's the best that companies, even these high-end companies, like Meta's dumping how much money a year? Like billions of dollars a year. And we're getting Cambria this year, right? Which is, it looks okay, but it's not like super futuristic concept, right? And that should tell you the possibilities of hardware right now. So yeah, I just like to get it out there that AR is very difficult, very difficult. So what about batteries? Yeah, batteries too. Yeah, exactly. That's another thing. Batteries are yeah, batteries. You can't fit a battery on this. In fact, this thing is wirelessly tethered to a phone and is relying on, I mean, this thing only has a 650 milliamp hour battery for itself. So that it won't last long. Like this probably lasts an hour. Honestly, I wouldn't expect this to last long for like much usage. Because even sending data across Wi-Fi 6 or 6E, that takes battery, right? So yeah, nuclear diamond battery, please. Yeah. Anyway, so okay, I just wanted to get over the AR glass stuff here because but the one thing I really wanted to say is this reference design probably will be turned into a product, but any product that you see with this reference design or taking things from it, it's not going to look like this. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if the rumored Hypernova glasses that Facebook is working on is going to be like something like this, but maybe they might partner with Ray-Bans again, right? And like it'll be a Ray-Bans Meta partnership where it's like Facebook Stories, but actually has displays and everything, right? That sounds way more realistic to me. And one more small thing is the interesting thing about all of this as well is they were testing this Kona AR glass with, where is it? Oh yeah, they were testing it with an XR Fusion device, which is probably like just some sort of processing puck that they're working on for prototyping. But I do wonder if Meta is going to be serious about this ecosystem and look into releasing a phone one day, just to work with their ecosystem of products that they're working on, because they're already working on a watch, multiple generations of a watch. So, I mean, you need something to connect those glasses to, unless they're just relying on it working with Apple iPhones and like every Android device that every other company they do already with their Oculus app, for example. So, yes, Apple's magic is well combining hardware and software. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Meta smartphone sounds like a privacy nightmare. See, that's one reason why they might want to make a Meta smartphone. When, like, you know, iPhone just introduced recently all those privacy features where you can ask applications not to track you, and that has already been confirmed to hurt Meta's ad business crazy a lot. Like, a huge percentage of ad business has been failing ever since that feature was introduced to iPhones, right? I'm sure they're gonna bring that feature. I mean, they already brought that feature to Max probably too, right? Like, it wouldn't surprise me, because everyone always wants to copy what Apple's doing. If you start seeing Google saying, "Oh, we're gonna do that too. We're gonna embed features so you can ask apps not to track you." So relying on ad services tracking information might just slowly deteriorate over time, and Meta might want to release a hardware device where it's like, "Hey, this will work with your Oculus Quest better than all the other headsets. Don't ask what our privacy features are compared to our competitors, but it will, you know, do things, you know?" Yeah. Where is Samsung? Samsung's working on stuff. They've been hinting that they are working hard on something. I'm guessing they're probably going to release something like this first. It wouldn't surprise me if Samsung is another one of these partners that Qualcomm's working with. Except the thing with Samsung is they want to use their own chips. And I think Samsung did have like an XR version of their chip like 4 years ago. So they were kind of testing the water for making their own kind of XR focused chips. So it wouldn't surprise me if they made something like this as an accessory to their Galaxy devices, right? Yeah. All right. Now let's talk a few more things about this Oculus or Facebook incubator thing. So this is not new information at all, but I don't think I ever went over it. So this week another new update happened to the incubator, and nothing really notable except, let's see, is it this one? Yeah. Right here. Wait, not right there. Right here. Hollywood Crimson. I think I posted about Crimson like maybe a month and a half ago on Twitter. I had to give props to Samulia, as always. One of the literally just such a great Quest firmware data miner who found Crimson originally, but we didn't find it in this. I think it was in V40 when V40 was pushed to the public, or to not the public, the testing branch, he found a new reference or a new version of Hollywood called Crimson. Now, Hollywood is the code name, or the final code name, for the Quest 2. So we were very confused why Facebook was making a new version of Hollywood originally. But not only that, not in here. This is just the final public version of this code name, but in the like private data mining the Quest 2 firmware, we found out like what cameras this thing was using, or what Crimson kind of is right now. And it's very different from Quest 2. It actually seems to be like a Quest 2 with eye and face tracking, like, built in. But the weird thing about it is, so this is one of the cameras that we have in Cambria coming out, or at least it was in one of the Cambria prototypes. That might have been updated since then. We don't really have good information on that. But last year, we were able to see that Cambria was using these cameras for basic computer vision camera stuff. But the interesting thing about this new Hollywood Crimson is it has way better cameras. It has a 5:1 FPGA. So the way Cambria does its eye and face tracking, so XR2 has a limit to how many cameras it can support. So the way that Meta gets past this, because they have a lot of cameras for eye and face tracking alone, that doesn't even account for the mixed reality cameras, the tracking cameras, like all that stuff, right? And also, you know, there's also the controllers have their own cameras, but that's a different concept. So what they did, because there's like 5 or 6 cameras just for eye and face tracking, they have all those cameras connected to an FPGA chip, and that FPGA chip is what directly connects to the actual XR2 chip. So when the XR2 chip sees this FPGA, all it sees is it as one camera, because FPGA is kind of like compressing all the data and sending it as one to bypass that XR2 camera issue. And they're doing the same thing with this Crimson model, except it seems to have like higher resolution cameras. So there's either two things here. It's possible that Cambria might have upgraded their cameras to a newer model, since we last saw a good leakable firmware from Cambria, because we were data mining Cambria like using a very shady method, which we can't access anymore. Like in November of last year was like the last time we were able to do this. So it's possible they changed to higher resolution cameras for Cambria since then, and they're just using those same cameras for this new Crimson prototype. Or this new Crimson prototype just genuinely has better cameras for eye and face tracking and blah 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 blah. So it's very likely this Crimson might be a prototype for Quest 3. It wouldn't surprise me at all if Crimson is like a legitimate Quest 3 prototype, because Zuckerberg has talked a lot about the idea that the first features that would make it into a Quest product after Cambria would be eye and face tracking, which makes sense. They're a social media company, right? They want social VR. They're banking that social VR is going to change everything, which is probably true, honestly. I think they're probably right about that. So it wouldn't surprise me if Crimson is some sort of prototype. They're just kind of taking a Hollywood prototype and just stuffing more cameras on it. So yeah. Eye tracking, insanely valuable for meta advertising. Feedback on time looking. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's another benefit of eye tracking. They never really talk about the benefits for rendering. They always talk about the social features, but eye tracking gives a lot of information about a person. Without even adding ads into the picture, you can figure out a lot of things about a person just from the way their eyes move and the way they blink and stuff. It's actually really creepy. I've read some articles about it. I might need to reshare those one day, because it's actually really creepy. Just what your eyes, not even just your facial expressions, but your eyes and your eye movements can give a lot of. There was an article a few years ago about how it was a similar concept, but 6CO FVR, where you put on a headset and move around with controllers in your body and stuff. People, they were able to use like a computer machine learning algorithm to pinpoint an individual just by the way their hand and head movements were, without even signing an account to a person, right? And that's just for like very basic movements. But when you start adding eye tracking to the equation and like facial expressions and all these other things, yeah, there's no such thing as privacy anymore. Even when you think you're private, because they'll be able to have like machine learning algorithms trained on just figuring out who you are and where you are. So enjoy the future, everyone. We are there. Any Imagine hardware in the prototype? No, there's no. We don't know anything about displays for Quest 3. Quest 3 is expected to release next year. And Cambria is going to release later this year with mini LED displays, which is just LCD with very nice backlight. So we're not getting any OLED in Meta Cambria. Remember that, no micro OLED this year. And we don't know what's in Quest 3. We have not gotten any hints on what's in Quest 3, but considering that Quest is supposed to be the cheaper line of products, it's very likely they will not have micro OLED, or they're probably going to stick with the one display concept that they have for Quest 2, honestly, for Quest 3. I don't think they're going to, especially when they're packing in more cameras, they're not going to be crazy with the display technology in Quest 3. They might up the resolution and maybe switch to a single. It'd be cool if they switched to a mini LED panel, like a single one, or did even an OLED panel with whatever process Samsung is doing for Sony's PSVR 2, which seems to be a very good process because they reach a much higher pixels per inch with those displays in PSVR 2. PSVR 2 is normal OLED, not micro OLED, but they're using a very special process to make those panels. That is very high tech, I guess you could say. Promising times ahead. Yeah, honestly, I'm really excited. So I was talking about this earlier, or I always talk about this, but someone was at an event and they were talking to a former employee of the industry that we all talk about in these streams. And the one thing that they reported this person said was people don't realize how fast XR hardware is going to be improving within the next near term. And that's how I felt. Like, there are things that I see happening just because I'm so obsessed with it. And then I hear people say things like, oh, we need better software rather than better hardware. We need both. But when you start seeing the improvements that companies are working on internally, and like the supply chains are finally starting to be built just for XR, all you can think about in your mind when you see these things is, I need that new hardware because it's going to make everything so much better. You know, I'll put on an index just to hop into VR chat, and I'm just like, man, I remember I used to love this thing, but now I just look at it as a piece of crap. So there is exciting times ahead. All right. Speaking of exciting times, Team Arapara will be the first to market for micro OLED. Yes, they probably will, thanks to SIA technology. There will probably be other people using SIA technology displays in AR and VR headsets because SIA Technologies built a really large fab early on for it. Will the quality of the displays be good in the first generation from that fab? No, and you're probably going to notice that in the first generation of products that use those displays, but I still think, despite that issue, you're going to see the products that release, the VR products, and you're going to see how small they are. You're going to see all these Arpara type products released on the market, and you're going to be like, okay, I get it. I get where things are going, right? And you're going to see a large company that already know where things are going and have the money to fund better displays, optics, processing, and all these things. And when those big companies release that trend, then things are going to get better. Sorry for pointing a gun at you. All right, I want to talk about let's see. Oh, let's talk about Meta Avalanche. Okay, this is the last thing I wanted to talk about for Meta. That's right. I'm glad I didn't forget. So, I'm gonna pull up the mixed the version first, just to link back to a tweet I made not too long ago. Oh, here we go. Yeah, here, let's go to this tweet. So this was on April 20th. I reported that we found strings referring to something called Oculus Avalanche. Samulia, of course, found it originally, and I just reported it because I am just a voice of the hard work of many people. And there were some strings more recently, like I think last month or 2 months ago, where they were actually building like all the gatekeepers and all these things that would allow Oculus to set who can access this Oculus Avalanche feature. And this, it was pretty obvious that it was related to cloud gaming. I mean, you can see here in the string, Avalanche cloud gaming infra enabled. It's not a mystery when you have a string like that. And because I tweeted this is why I tweet everything I find as well, because I tweeted this in April 20th. A random user from UK messaged me and replied to my tweets and stuff, was like, hey, I found this weird thing in my my experimental features on Quest, right? And it says enable Avalanche, and he was literally just Googling all over, like Google and stuff, and he couldn't find any references to what this Avalanche was, except that tweet I made last month. So of course he came to me and was like, it's in my account for some reason. And he told me a story that he actually was able to log on to a server by just clicking this button and actually get into a game of Asgard's Wrath, which is a PC VR only game on the Oculus PC VR only platform. And it wasn't a very good experience, he said. He said he's from UK, he was only like a Wi-Fi 5 connection and all this stuff, but he was just able to get in and play it, which was bizarre and hilarious because this was not clearly supposed to be in his account right here, which happens a lot actually. This happened also for last couple weeks ago. I posted a video of a Cambria face and eye tracking avatar testing application that was accidentally added to someone's account that wasn't supposed to be added to their account. So this happens a lot for all these weird apps and features, and people come to me to say, look, I have it. But yeah, he was able to play Asgard's Wrath. It was a very poor experience, but I'm guessing it's mainly because he's in UK, and I'm guessing that the server was probably in USA, honestly, like probably West Coast, to be fair. And he was also using Wi-Fi 5. He also recently got into contact with me again, and he's been trying to re-access it. Hold on a second. Let me pull this up. He was trying to re-access it. He still has it in his account and everything, but he can't get onto the server. Every time he clicks enable Avalanche Alpha, it just says the server is full. Which I'm guessing that ever since he, like, you know, it's been reported on Upload VR, it's been reported on Mix.de. They're probably being a little more careful on who can access these cloud servers. So, yeah. Sounds like lies? It's not lies. No, I mean, he sent me this video today. He can't get back on, but look, I mean, the proof is on... It's pretty good proof. I don't know. It's not worth for a lot of people to do stuff like this, I think. And it's very likely that Meta is looking at cloud gaming for VR and non-VR, for sure. It just makes sense. It wouldn't surprise me if there's cloud-focused VR devices by 2024 even though that cloud... There's so many issues when you add a cloud server to things, but chips are, like, Qualcomm are working on chips that are focused on cloud and edge and all this stuff, and there's a lot of hype for it. And the one benefit that cloud, if there were, okay, just taking out the infrastructure issues, because there are places all over the planet that clearly cannot have a good cloud gaming experience, let alone for non-VR, but also VR. But you take that big giant problem out of the equation, if you did have a device that was focused on the cloud, and you didn't mind the fact that you don't technically own everything, you just rent a spot on a server, well, that means the chips and everything inside your device can be cheaper, because all they're really going to be doing is just communicating with, like, your Wi-Fi router. You don't have to put in, like, too much storage on the device. It just the entire device can get cheaper. And we know Meta wants to have cheap devices to get people into their platforms. So it makes a lot of sense that this is a feature that they're working on. So, and a lot of people talk about a application that you can only get on App Lab for Quest that's called Plutosphere. I have not tried it. I haven't touched my Quest 2 or even used my Quest 2 probably for almost 6 months now. So I haven't tried Plutosphere, but people say it's a good... The people that try it are probably in very good areas that have really good connections, but they say it's pretty good, which is shocking. That's another, like, app. And the ironic thing about... So another reason why you know Meta is probably working on these cloud gaming things is because they are not letting any other cloud services onto their store. Usually, if they're working on something, they always don't let it on their store. like with the... They wouldn't let Virtual Desktop on their store unless they removed the PC VR Wi-Fi streaming. They only let Virtual Desktop add that feature until Meta was able to release AirLink. And they do a lot of stuff like that. So that's another reason why they're probably working on it. So, yeah. Honestly, I think BCI stuff is the most interesting out of any XR related technologies. Can't wait for more info. I've talked to someone. So BCI stands for Brain Computer Interfaces. We might be getting some new information on Project Galea this weekend, or this week actually, because they're going to be at AWE. And they said they're going to have some announcements for this, and this is a partnership between Valve and OpenBCI. And it's just it's basically a ton of sensors to do read only. It's not writing to your brain, it's trying to read your brain and seeing your emotional state and like a bunch of other things. Valve wants to use it for gaming, but there's a lot of uses for this other than gaming. But I was talking to someone recently, and probably 2 weeks from now, I'll be able to interview this person and ask them a lot of questions. And they're working directly in this stuff, by the way. Like, they're working, and they have a huge, huge history in the XR field. So hopefully I'll have an interview or something that I can share with you guys soon. He's very confident that this stuff right here, he's very confident this will actually reach consumers much faster than I expected. So hopefully we'll be able to get more opinions directly from him when he's able to do that. But it's very exciting what he was telling me and stuff. So sounds fake. What sounds fake? This stuff? No, this is real. Like, this is just taking off the shelf. Gosh, I need to find the. It's literally just like encephalograms and like measuring electric pulses, measuring your sweat emitters on your forehead, and eye tracking, and like it's just a myriad of different sensors on a headset, and it's real. Like, it's done with Valve. Gabe Newell is very interested in this stuff. He's obsessed with BCIs. Not even that. I was talking to, as you might know, last week I did a lot of videos with Jerry Ellsworth, former employee of Valve, back like in 2010 to 2012, very early hardware lab days. And even back then, she told me they were looking into a lot of this kind of stuff. Even back then, 2010, 12 years ago. So Valve's just interested in this stuff, at least. And Meta is looking to do BCI stuff mostly for input devices. They want to have a smartwatch that can measure like the muscle impulses, so you can do finger tracking without having to see them and stuff. There's a lot of benefits for doing this. Hold on one second. Okay. Anyway, it is a modified index, yes. Can this device help me find a girlfriend? Probably not you. Probably not you, Chatter. I'm sorry. Gabe once said he used all his time on BCI and Dota 2. Yeah, he's literally dumping a ton of money into BCI stuff. He's very convinced that it's like where he needs to spend his time. And he says that he's the one that dumps all the money into it because he's the one that can make the more risky decisions because he's just rich and like, you know, maybe other people at Valve also want to do it, but you know, they gotta kind of get people on board for these kind of projects. But it wouldn't surprise me if whenever Deckard released, you know, I've talked about the concept that I believe Deckard would have possibilities for head strap upgrades, right? And it wouldn't surprise me if they would allow a BCI head strap if it were to ever get cheap enough for consumers just to be slapped onto a Deckard device, right? It wouldn't surprise me at all, in fact, because there's people are interested in it. All right, what's the next topic? Let's talk about Pimax for a little bit. So I don't really have much information on Pimax. I was actually shocked that people were asking me about Pimax when I put in the title, but if we go into... Well, this is for later. We'll talk about that later. That's Apple. We'll talk about Apple later a little bit more. We had a kind of a fun week on the Discord, or at least a few people did. Because Pimax, their website is a mess. It's actually so. Let's go on their website for a second. Actually, it's really funny. Pimax, yeah, their website's a mess. Not even just like the way it looks, but God, their website's so bad. Oh no. Anyway, they're. Oh wait, they actually put this countdown up? I didn't know they actually put this countdown up. Well, crap. Okay, well, anyway. That's funny. Let me scroll down my Twitter. When was this posted? One of these days. I'll find it. Oh, yeah. So, May 19th, which is 10 days ago, we like digging into the Pimax website because it's really bad and, like, there's no security, so we can find things all the time that we're not supposed to. And originally, it looked like that they had a plan for a launch event of some sort on May 26th. Clearly, that didn't happen, but it looks like they are going to have it in about 2 days from now. The only things I have to say about Pimax is we're still waiting on like actual people to give an actual trying out of their big was it 12K QLED device that's like it's half standalone, it's half PCVR, which that stuff doesn't actually sound that crazy to me. They're really doing a concept that I think is going to be more common with PCVR headsets by including like a very basic Qualcomm SoC inside. It gives you a lot more capabilities to do other things instead of just relying only on the PC to render everything. So that's cool. But they were supposed to show it off to people at CES. That never happened. And you know, Pimax just has a really weird marketing, this really bad marketing team, because they make YouTubers kind of pissed off because they don't even like explain things to people that were like CES. People were kind of pissed, honestly. Like not even just people that were hoping to see someone review it or try it out, but also the YouTubers kind of get kind of pissed off because it's like, well, you said you were gonna be here. We you know, we flew out here. It's not here, whatever. So, but yeah, Pimax Crystal launch event. So what I've heard, and you've probably heard it as well, is the 12K QLED is the reality series, and they were supposed to be announcing multiple versions, multiple tiers of this new reality series with a 5K. Like I've heard it was gonna be very similar to what they do with like a 5K and 8K. They would all have like an SoC and stuff, very just different display situations, right? But at different costs. However, they're doing this Pimax Crystal launch event. We don't know what it is. I asked around a little bit, but it's really funny because when I when I ask around about Pimax, the general consensus I get from sources is we don't care to look into Pimax. Like honestly, which is not very. I mean, that's kind of messed up, but yeah, I really don't know what I can say about what we can expect about this device. They seem like they have a pretty good hardware team that do pretty good things, but their marketing team is really bad. Like genuinely just bad. It makes people not trust them. They have a website that looks like, I mean, what is this? I didn't want to bash this stream, bash Pimax's stream, but like I didn't even realize how bad their website is. But like it just and you know, they do these things where it's like, oh, you can trade in your headset and we're gonna give you the full value that you paid for your headset if you buy 12K QLED. But you just, you know, they just keep doing these things that are weird, and they keep having these events. I don't know, maybe I'm being cynical. Crystal says to me glasses. It says to me like AR glasses as well. But yeah, we were just digging through their website, finding a bunch of photos. Like this one is so funny. And there's a lot of these like it, actually. There's a whole collection of bad photoshops on their website that are like deep in the files. And like this one was really funny. Yeah, so this is a Shutterstock image of someone wearing a Vive, you know, doing business. And I guess Pimax liked that Shutterstock image, and the funny thing is they, like, you know, they bought the Shutterstock image and they photoshopped they photoshopped Pimax headset, which honestly, this is not that a lot of Chinese companies do this kind of thing. But the one thing that's really funny to me is like so, you know, this part of the strap right here, it doesn't exist on the Pimax, right? So if you look really closely, it looks like she has an indent in her head because the Photoshop is kind of it's really, she's got it's like oh, I love it. All right, sorry. But yeah, Pimax, like, what do you guys think this Pimax Crystal thing is? The only reason I knew that this Pimax Crystal launch event was going to happen soon is because their like marketing director or whatever posted in MRTV's Discord, and someone messaged me that screenshot of that Discord message, and bizarre. Lenses. I think it's a crystal for the display. I like the concept that it's probably like some weird, I don't know. They got me to talk about it, so it worked, right? It looks like a toilet bowl. Crystal LCD. Pimax Crystal Meth. Why would they make... Yeah, I don't think they're... Honestly, this might just be a fancy name for them announcing the entire tiers of their reality series. I don't know. I just really like... I know a lot of people in my Discord and like people I talk to, they love their Pimax headsets. And I'm not trying to... I'm glad that they like it, but this company is just so weird. it's just a weird company to me. Like, I just think they're very enthusiasts for sure, which you would think I would love this company, right? Because I'm like a Omega enthusiast, but I don't know. They do the hardware right for the people that would want their hardware. Like, this is probably the best headsets for like simulator people, right? Like people who love doing aircraft simulations and like piloting and stuff, but they're just I don't know, I just can never take them that seriously that much. Yeah, see, that's why I always hear from people like even people that bought a Pimax, like when I was making tweets about Pimax, that's everyone was like, I love my AKX or whatever. But man, their website, whenever I show... So this is what I talk to people. People that bought AKX and they recommend it to their friends. This is what they tell me. They say, oh, I love this headset. It's the best headset I ever bought. And then they'll try to get their friends to look into it. So obviously they send them this website, right? They send them... This is their main website. So they send their friends to this website. And immediately their friends look at them and like, this one? This is, you know... Again, like, I just... Very, yeah, I don't know. Crystal Skull Vodka. They're still here making headsets. Again, I think it's good that Pimax exists because no one else is going to make these kind of headsets. Like these super ridiculous wide FOV headsets. No one else would make that because the industry as a whole, the entire industry, the main players, they don't care about FOV right now. They really don't. They care about making headsets slimmer and resolutions higher at the same time. They don't mind if we have the same FOV for the next couple years, and that seems like the trajectory most of these companies are kind of looking at. They're like, well, 100 FOV is okay for a while. Let's just boost the resolution, the pixels per inch, but make things super thin and small, which I think is probably the right way for mainstream to make things mainstream. But Pimax exists for people that don't want that, right? So it's important that Pimax exists. I just like making fun of them because they do a lot of things that kind of deserves being made fun of. So does that make sense? The FOV. So I'm a person that have tried Pimax headsets, and you know, they kind of make my brain weird. I had a friend, I even took a friend to a place where he was able to try a Pimax headset. He put it on, and immediately he was like, oh, that's a gimmick. Get it off. He was like, he literally said the word. He was mostly joking because we always joke about VR being a gimmick, but like he took it off and he was like, this is not what I want. Mainly because he thought it was heavy. And he's like, he was also a big nerd. So like, this is not for mainstream for sure, but it exists for people that need it, which is why I think they should target like enterprise, but they still kind of say they're a consumer company. But wide FOV is awesome in Sims, yeah. I think we kind of hit the I think we kind of beat this dead horse, but I guess they're gonna have a launch event. Let me. I didn't even know this page was up. Okay, it just links me to the YouTube channel. Okay. Well, okay. I might stream it then. I don't know. So that's another thing about this channel is like I enjoy streaming. I think it's fun to read chat, and I like streaming these events. I like streaming these events. I even want to stream. So there's a lot of things happening this week. There's this. There is the PSVR 2, or no, it's not even a PSVR 2 event, but it's a PlayStation State of Play event happening this week, and they already said they're gonna have some PSVR 2 software being shown. So I probably want to stream that. And then there's also WWDC coming up, which is a worldwide developer conference keynote that will probably be 2 hours long. But it really feels like they might have something XR there, even if it's not hardware. I think it's time to talk about Apple. No, it's not time to talk. Is it time? Yeah, we'll talk about Apple. Let's talk about Apple. Let's talk about Apple a little bit. Yeah. Any news about Pico Neo 4? No new news about that. I know you're talking about like the Cambria competitor from Pico. Yeah, nothing new about that. It's definitely being worked on. It's definitely being worked on. Or like the software side of things, I can say. So, do you have any drop of information about Project Casper, Oculus Rift 2? I haven't heard anything about that. I really don't believe there's going to be another Oculus Rift. Especially when you start seeing stuff like, oh, they're going to focus on cloud gaming for PC VR to get that higher fidelity. That kind of also kills the concept that they might look into doing a Rift in the future. I don't see it happening for Meta anymore. There's just no... Meta's already bleeding money as is, and honestly, the PC market is probably just something they don't see any rate of return in ever, probably. Apple not having... Yeah, let's talk about Apple. Let's talk about Apple. I think it's time to talk about Apple. So we're going to start with this. So the main reason I think WWDC might have some interesting software announcements is, I mean, not just this. There was kind of a lot of small stuff happening that kind of was hinting that we're not going to see hardware. I really don't think we're going to see any hardware. But we're probably going to see a lot of tools to get developers to start thinking about this new spatial computing age. People were saying, oh, maybe we'll see like built-in tools for doing like photogrammetry or whatever they call it and all that stuff. But this was interesting that Parker Ortolani first noticed, and I think it's pretty much confirmed. Like it would ridiculous if this is not true, but a bunch of trademarks in Apple's normal fonts. This is called like San Francisco font or something. Is being trademarked all over the world by June 8th. And looking into this usually happens. This is like a very. This happens every time that Apple does something like this. They have so it's being trademarked by a company known like some random company unheard of, and the company's called Reality O Systems LLC. And just like when they were Apple was trademarking like the Mac OS version code names, they also use the same concept, same like the timing and everything lines up to this Reality OS, or at least some tools for it being shown off around WWDC, which is why you have the filing deadline around this, and they've been trademarking it since like December of last year. They're getting pretty serious about this Reality OS name at the very least, which we've heard a lot about Reality OS for docs by font. Okay, that's funny. Yeah, we've been hearing a lot about Reality OS for a while. I mean, they've been working on it technically since 2017. Of course, the target for this OS and how big it is has changed a lot, because we know from the information that the actual, really what the device that Apple's been working on has changed a lot since then. Like it was going to originally be, like they originally had a small plan for like a cardboard viewer for iPhone, and then they were going to go crazy with the headset, have not much internal chips inside, but have like a base station similar to like a PC to have in like super high rendering, like a PC VR but for Mac. And then that didn't work. Jony Ive didn't like that, and then they finally transitioned that, hey, this should be a standalone headset with a ridiculously high powered chips, 4K per eye micro OLED. Actually, the one thing that has not changed since the beginning of this project is the developers of the hardware have said since the beginning that they should be targeting a 4K per eye display in the headset. Like that's been unchanged forever, since like 2017 or something, because they didn't want people to see the screen door ever. They want things to look real. And, you know, they're gonna use micro OLED displays, 4K per eye, and all that stuff. That's been pretty much said for a while. But yeah, Reality OS has been changing a lot, and it's gonna be running on the headset. Who knows what it's going to be like? I really hope that Apple does make. So Cambria has been said that it's supposed to be like a Chromebook for the face. I really pray that this Apple headset, that's gonna be so expensive, it's gonna have state-of-the-art displays, chips, and everything. I hope it's like a MacBook for the face. That would be fantastic, I think, as a product compared to an iPhone for the face, because clearly people are confused because they see these mixed reality devices and they think, oh, no one's gonna go outside with a giant goggles camera thing. But I really don't think the target is people. So even though mixed reality devices are AR devices, I don't believe the target is for people to walk around with them like every day like a phone. We're still not there yet. I think it's still going to be a mostly at-home device. You might have like events where people would want to bring a headset and like just kind of sit on a park bench in like a park somewhere just to have some cool things going on. But yeah, these are still going to be mostly at-home devices for probably at least the next couple years, for obvious reasons. Like it's very dangerous to have people cross streets with camera visions. You need, especially at the FOVs that VR headsets have, right? No peripheral. They better call it iFace. But another thing is, we kept hearing things about it was the headset was mostly getting delayed by heating issues, is what we were hearing. And There were some rumors coming out recently, and I think a lot of them were retracted for the most part. But people were talking about how the M2 chip might have been delayed a bit. So we're going to talk a little bit about silicon processes. I have a friend in my Discord server, his name is Seb, that helps me out learn a lot of these silicon things. I'm still learning. The one cool thing about XR, guys, if you are obsessed with XR, I think it's like the coolest nerd hardware thing to be obsessed with, because XR has all the like cutting edge technology, and it's from multiple sectors. Like, if you want to know everything about XR hardware, you gotta know about optical like science, you need to know about displays, you need to know about computing and silicon processes, you need to know about machine learning and like computer vision. Like, XR is insane, all the stuff that binds together into this one concept. But anyway, it's super cool. That's why I keep always enjoying learning about XR hardware. But it sounds like, so for a while people were saying that the M2 chip was going to be running or being made with a 4nm process by TSMC, which this is very confusing. It's called N4 by TSMC, but N4 is really just a kind of a version of N5, which is 5nm. 5nm is the node that all AMD products right now, or at least this year that it's coming out, like you hear about Zen 4 and RDNA 3, all that stuff is going to be mostly on 5nm. They're just hitting 5nm. XR2 is on N7, which is 7nm. So going from 7nm to 5nm is a big jump. Going from 5nm to 3nm is the next big jump, like actual change in node. Even though they call it 4nm, N4, it's still just a better version of 5nm for the most part. And when you upgrade these nodes, and you know, it's really TSMC that has to do all the hard work. They're trying to figure out how to mass produce these smaller nodes, which gives you like better efficiency for power usage and all these other things. Apple is usually the first company to get on these nodes because they spend a ton of money even before the node is ready to get exclusivity to that node, so their chips are way better than the competition. N3 is supposed to hit mass production next year, and since it's the next generation node, people are wondering if M2 is going to be on N3 now, which it's very likely that the Apple headset is going to be running on an M2 chip. Like, that's all I keep hearing is Apple's VR headset's going to be M2. That's all you hear, M2, or something like that. And what Kuo and other people have been saying recently is that 3nm was supposed to be early on expected to reach mass production at the end of this year. It got delayed due to supply chain and chip issues, you know, typical right now. So it's possible that people are thinking like, well, hey, if the Apple headset has heating issues, maybe the original plan was for M2 not to be on this next generation node. Maybe they were going to put it on N4, which is again a much better version of N5. But now that, you know, there's these heating issues for the XR headset, and you really obviously XR headsets use more power, maybe they're kind of pivoting a little bit to having M3 or M2 come out next year instead of later this year with the N3 node. And Kuo was kind of agreeing with that a little bit here. Ming-Chi Kuo, he's very well known, one of the best supply chain analysts, especially when it comes to Apple. And he feels that the MacBook, there's supposed to be a MacBook Air coming out later this year. That's like new design and everything from Apple. And he's been saying that it's not going to have an M2 chip, which was like completely surprising to everyone. They thought, oh, M2 is going to be later this year. They're going to show off M2 at WWDC this year. But he thinks that it's not going to be later this year, is what he's been kind of saying. And he thinks that it would make sense if M2 is like a greater generation node, because that would be just easy gains all the way. So, hey Brad, can you please stop waving those scissors near your face? I'm sorry, I'm crazy. I don't know why I do that. But yeah, all I'm trying to say is, just like how AR is a problem, VR headsets, especially high performance ones with all the next generation technologies that we want in a VR headset, which Apple is clearly targeting for their first device, even they are having issues. They want to get on these better nodes faster, and it wouldn't surprise me if the Apple headset was delayed the next year because of like they wanted to wait for that new node. If that comes out true, so yes. Especially heating issues are even a bigger issue, if it's on your face. There's also a really cool cool patent that was published like last week related to some special. They patented like some way to cycle heat from micro OLED displays from a VR headset. Just to give you a better idea that Apple is very interested in using micro OLED. So while I don't know, so Apple is clearly not focusing on gaming, which they want. I don't know what they're focusing on, honestly, at this point. But it's clear they're not focusing on gaming. But that being said, the one good thing I always say about Apple is they're going to add so much value to this industry. They're going to show people a device that's super high quality. It's going to look very good. It's going to be thin. It's going to be things people, even who don't care about Apple, want in VR headsets. And they're going to push the supply chains, especially because everyone after Apple releases this headset, and it's amazing, everyone else, every other tier 1 company is going to want something that's comparable to that headset. So they're all going to be investing in supply chains to get what Apple has. So it's going to boost everyone super well. I think that's why when there was like reports from DigiTimes that Valve and Apple were working together of some sort, I think Valve and Apple probably were teaming up on at least displays and getting supply chains up for that or something. Upload VR, when they were taking a look at the Steamboat board and like the 4K Imagine display, the CEO of that company even told the writer of that article stuff like that, like there was 2 big companies involved together for that display or whatever. It would make sense because Valve wants this market to spur for software reasons. Valve wants to have a PCVR store that everyone uses. If PCVR was to get a new breath of fresh life, you need hardware to do that. You need hardware that makes things thinner, more comfortable, looks real, looks beautiful. Head displays that Valve has been wanting to use since the beginning, you know? So they want the market to be spurred, and I think Apple is going to be the one company that really spurs this market. It'll even benefit Meta a lot. Because they're spending so much money, and they haven't really shown themselves why this is going to be the next generation of computing. But when Apple, Google, and every company gets in, it's obvious that, hey, they're dedicated to this cause. But if Apple fails and release a product that sucks, well, that's going to be worse for us all. So, yeah. Yeah, if Apple literally releases a product and it's like never catches, like no one likes it, genuinely, like people that try it, they say they don't like the experience, or it's not as good as Meta's or something, that might be bad. Like genuinely, that might be bad for the industry. That might set us back for a while. That being said, just from the hardware specs alone, I don't think they could screw this up. Like obviously it's going to cost a lot of money. They're using the next generation of everything in their device. Like that's just the truth. And they're using weird input methods for their headset. That's like another thing that's you kind of have to worry about. If they're betting that people don't want to hold on to handles for VR experiences or MR experiences, and if that ends up being a misfire, well, ooh. But if it ends up being true, that's also another thing, because if you really like having controllers, most headsets might probably not release with controllers anymore. In fact, they might be like an extra add-on you gotta pay for. Like those Cambria controllers might not even come with the version 2 of Cambria if Apple's headset changes people's perceptions of what should be in a mixed reality kit, right? So, yeah. If Apple screws up, it's bad. It's actually bad, I think. So, they're making a Zoom device. Can we have a waifu review stream? Here, I have a husbando. What about a husbando review? This is a character from a game called Danganronpa. He's a very well-mild, he's very trustworthy. But this figure kind of sucks. I give it a 6 out of 10. Anyway. Do you think you'll have varifocal? I don't think so. I don't know. We gotta talk about varifocal. Let's talk about varifocal. I'm glad you asked that question. Lolly is not. That's the joke. Yeah, let's talk about varifocal, actually. I wanted to talk about that today. That was like our last topic I really wanted to talk about. Such hair. I don't think Apple can screw up either, to be honest. I really don't think they can. Even the Apple, so I think people forget that the Apple Watch, the first generation, that was kind of a flop for the most part. For Apple standards, like it didn't really catch on until like the third generation Apple Watch, right? But now, even though the first generation of the Apple Watch kind of didn't do that well, if you go outside, everyone wears an Apple Watch now. It's like, I don't wear watches. I hate having things on my arms, but yeah. Most normies like it now, so they can figure it out. Let's find it. Here we go. This is a great article. Road to VR did a great job on this. Playing VR chat with controllers is way more tiring than it should be. For social VR experiences, I don't think you need controllers that much, actually. But, which honestly, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, it doesn't mean, so because Apple's not releasing like a standardized handle for their headset, doesn't mean that they won't let companies make their own for the headset. All right, like it wouldn't surprise me if there just be some standardized VR controllers for gaming that people will sell, licensing, blah blah blah. It's just a Bluetooth connection away and some other software stuff, I guess. I don't know how that works, but it definitely won't be as easy as just a normal gamepad, because gamepads don't have to worry about tracking. But I don't know, we'll see how that goes. Yeah, very, like, even Apple's had a huge focus in the recent years of making sure that like PlayStation 5 controllers can work with all their devices, or like Xbox One X, whatever they're called. They have like a whole team now that is actually that's funny, because the team, from what I understand, that's working on getting all those game controllers working on all the Mac devices and stuff, it's, I believe, being headed by the guy who used to work at Valve on the VR team. Something Nathaniel Brown, I think. I know he was tweeting all about that because it was like a big deal or something. Yeah, they have a whole gaming sector. I don't really know what they do, but yeah. Yes. Anyway, so this was actually a SID. This is new. I know it looks like it's hard to know that these are new. You've probably seen liquid crystal liquid crystal lenses in the past. Like Half Dome 3 is very famous. I've talked about that a lot. But this is something else. SID. I couldn't try them because there was actually, I don't know, so many people were in line to get the demo of this, but I was it was killing me. It was right there. So this was made by Kent State University, funded heavily by Meta, and it's a new type of variable liquid crystal lenses. So I had to explain the difference between these and the ones that were used in Half Dome 3. So the way Half Dome 3 did their lenses was they stacked a bunch of layers that would turn off and on, and each layer had a different, just to make it easier, a different zoom level. We'll say that, like a different focus point. when they stacked each of these layers with different focal points, and they can like combine all the different layers on and off, they could get a different focal point. So it was like just a constantly, they can change the focus, and the vergence accommodation conflict was solved. So, you know, you look at your finger, you look at it closely, it's focused, then you look away from your finger at the background, and your finger's blurry, and that's basically what vergence accommodation conflict solves when you have that working. But this is different. This is different. This is one lens that can... Is there a video? This is one lens that literally can change variably slowly. Like it's like a slow... I like to say zoom, I'm sorry, like, but it's changing the focal point slowly with one lens, which is different than the other method that had to stack all those different layers. And it also has a very large aperture, if I remember correctly, which is very good. And then this is very good progress, is what I'm trying to say. But the one issue with it, there's a couple issues with this lens. So the biggest issue is slow compared to the other method. But if you stack multiple of these weird variable optics, probably if you probably stack multiple of them and have them do different ranges, you could probably make them much faster and usable for VR. Because right now this does a huge range. This one lens does a very large range, and that's what makes it very slow. And it's about like 500 milliseconds switching from like 0 to 100 basically. But they're saying if you stack if you stack them and you have them at different, you know, smaller ranges, you can get a faster switch speed. Another issue with these was they kind of introduced the same kind of artifacting that Fresnel lenses give. And by that I mean the sweet spot is kind of small, and when you start looking off to the edges, you start getting that distortion. Very similar to Fresnel. So it's like, this is a great example where it's like, okay, we're finally getting out of Fresnel lenses, right? Well, all the issues that we don't like about Fresnel. The main reason that we're getting away from Fresnel is mostly to make things smaller. But like, a lot of people say they don't like that, the glare and stuff that comes from Fresnel and stuff. Well, this kind of reintroduces that. But at the same time, it adds a lot of functionality that you would want, especially from a mixed reality device. Because if you want mixed reality devices to be like, kind of the in-between between VR and AR, you really do want to solve vergence accommodation conflict even more somehow. So yeah, but it's really cool progress. I think it's really cool. I wish there was a video here. I thought there was a video, but I guess I don't see it. But it just looked really good. Yeah. If Apple isn't doing varifocal, why do you have a third stack? I don't know what they're doing with their lenses, but yeah, they are spending $10 more per lens unit with the third stack on the Pancake. I don't know what they're doing with it. I don't want to guess what they're doing with it because they have so many different patents related to what that third lens could do that's literally anyone's guess. But they are spending $10 per unit to do it, to do whatever that third piece is doing. Yeah. I don't know. I think companies like Apple though, and Meta, I think they are focusing on this stuff a lot more than they would have you think. Remember, Meta purchased or acquired Imagine Optics. Remember that, guys. They bought that entire company that pretty much only did this. Like, and they had a whole factory that could build these or whatever. I mean, they also buy micro LED companies, not micro OLED. They also buy micro LED companies, but those are like, everyone's buying those. Not many people are buying these kind of companies. So I think it's something that a lot of companies want in their headsets. It's just a matter of mass production and solving some of the small I mean, obviously solving some of the issues that these lenses have. Like, they're not going to be perfect, but I think they can do some really useful stuff in like a pancake stack from what I understand, but we'll see. No, 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 not Imag. They didn't purchase Imagine, they purchased Imagine Optics. Yeah. They Meta acquired Imagine Optics, different from Imagine. Well, the 4K per display would yield a higher PBD. Oh, well, it would have a much higher PPI. PPD is calculated when you add FOV into the equation. What is the Aero FO? It would have a much higher PPD than the Aero if you use the same kind of FOV, basically. Yeah. Like, for example, the best example I have is Quest 2 has about, and it's not this much, but for easy math, the Quest 2 per eye has about a 20 pixels per degree. If you were just to replace the display with the 4K display, it would have a 40 pixels per degree, while also being a much smaller display as well. I think. Is it? I think it's like, it's so complicated because we're talking about per eye displays and then one giant display for 2 eyes, so the measurements are all screwy a little bit. Literally doubling resolution, which people will notice a lot, I think, when we start getting those types of... I mean, even Meta at SID themselves, they say micro OLED's the future for them, for getting higher pixels per degree in VR headsets. And also AR headsets seem to be... they seem to be interested. Because the big thing is micro LED, which is different than micro OLED. Micro LED is like everyone's dream, a display, but it's still very much a dream. Very much a dream. It will literally be probably 10 years before we start seeing those in VR headsets, probably. And that's, I don't even know if they'll figure it out by then. But micro LED has a chance to be more useful for AR glasses than VR headsets. But even then, they're still too far for that. So Meta's already talking about using micro OLED even for just glasses, similar to what is in like Nreal in the whatever. Yes. Aero equals dual mini LED displays with 35 PPD peak fidelity. But isn't it like the resolution 28? It's so complicated because I think when they're marketing that, they're talking. Well, that might be true because the FOV is not that large on Aero, right? I don't remember the FOV for Aero, but I know also lenses, like lens types, have their own sort of PPD ratings for what the max they can reach, and like, because some lenses might be super beautiful in the center, but as they start going out to the edges, they start losing that beauty, right? Which is a whole other issue to solve with optics. FOV is similar to Quest 2. Yeah, I think most are similar for that. All right, that was pretty. How long have I been talking? An hour and 30 minutes? Yeah. So I think that was all the topics I really wanted to talk about today. Some more pictures. Oh, this is a video coming out soon. This guy right here, they are remaking. So I made video a few months, maybe like actually 5 months ago or something. Whenever Super Bowl was, I made a video talking about how I believed that VR is such a beautiful way of archiving things that cannot exist anymore in the real world. And the example I used was Disney rides. Like Walt Disney World is different now than it was when it first opened, right? And that's just the reality of updating rides and changing things. You can't just, the land stays the same. You can't just keep a ride forever. This person's recreating Journey into Imagination from Epcot, and they have the parts of the ride working. They have this the tunnel from ImageWorks. They have entire ImageWorks being worked on, the entire land. Just super cool video. I just want to show off this world and like just kind of re-exemplify the fact that VR really can do some things that the real world just can't do, and we need to take advantage of that. So, yeah. But yeah, very cool. Yeah, is there any other topics that you want to get my brain about? We're gonna be doing multiple streams this week because there's a lot of events this week. I guess I don't even know. I guess this is gonna be a video I can stream or a stream I can restream. So that's in 2 days, and then there will be I guess I'll stream the PSVR 2 games show. It's not state of play. And then I'll also maybe do the WWDC keynote just to see what kind of technologies they work on, how they can be applied to XR. Even if they don't have an XR focus announcement, but I think they might have something, some software thing, not hardware. No Deckard. Talk Apple patents? Dude, there's so many Apple, oh my god. So I have a bot, or I guess I really have a... So every week, every Tuesday and Thursday is when patents are published or patent applications are published. Valve hasn't had a new patent published for Deckard since like January or February. So for Valve, super easy to figure out what they're interested in working on. They don't just patent things to patent things, right? Apple is literally the complete opposite. Every week, on Tuesday and Thursday, they'll have like 20 patents. 20 freaking patents a week. For the past lifetime of their company. And they've been working on this VR headset since 2017, right? And the patents, and if there's 20 patents a week since then, you're talking about thousands of patents. So it's yeah, it's a mess. It's not something I really like to look into. I don't like to look in patents for that reason. Oh, this is cool though. But yeah, anyway, Deckard, we haven't got any new information, but we did get the SteamVR 1.22 released from beta to public. They also released a new environment, which was, I guess they photogrammetried that environment back in 2019. I also like ripped out the environment and put it in VR chat. I don't know why, but usually it takes like a month after they publish a beta to the public before they start working on the next beta version, like which would be 1.23 beta. And usually those big new betas is when they start leaking out a lot more of what they're working on. Like 1.22 beta, which happened a couple months ago, was when we heard when we learned of Deckard reaching its mini D milestone, whatever the heck that means, right? And we also got a lot of other strings related to that. So hopefully we'll get some more information within the next month for what Valve is working on for their next VR headset. We also have this is a new thing. Valve likes to do these Steam Next Fest usually, which they'll just get a bunch of developers to push out demos to games that are being worked on or whatever. Just a big Steam event or whatever. But they've never done a Steam VR Fest. They're basically doing that, but they're focusing only on Steam VR, which is really interesting because when you talk to people, usually people don't talk about them working on games for Steam VR. So yeah, and this was originally not going to be a Steam VR Fest. It was originally going to be like some other genre of games, but they switched it to Steam VR Fest. So I don't expect anything, but hey, it's cool. They're doing a Steam VR focused event on Steam for like a week on July 18th. So yeah. Do not touch the operational end of the device. Correct. Could you talk about performance issues with increased FOV in VR? Well, obviously, when you increase the FOV, you have to cull less polygons, which will just increase rendering load. So that's also another issue why companies are not so quick to massively increase the FOV, other than the fact that it also increases you usually have to increase display sizes or like have bigger lenses to easily increase FOV. But yeah, there's not too much more to it. But yeah, increasing FOV, obviously you do need to mostly cull less polygons for games per eye. Why did I think Sally's Brawler is too nerdy for VR chat? Sometimes, dude, I think VR chat is literally. I've said this before, but I've talked to people much older than me who were around at the beginning of the internet, right? The World Wide Web, and they say to me that them hopping into VR chat, and like some of these are like 60-year-old guys, and they're in VR chat. They're usually tinkering with shaders and stuff. You know, they're very, very technical people, but they always say that VR chat feels like to them what hopping onto the World Wide Web felt like those many years ago, like 30, 20 years ago, or what, 30 years ago, or whatever. And I think that's like the best. I think that's a very good compliment for VR chat. I think that's the perfect way to describe it, because it is just a playground of nerds and tinkerers and things, just doing so many cool things. And it keeps getting better because they add stuff such as Fizzbones, they add OSC support and all this stuff. So yeah, I think if you aren't into VR chat, I understand why you're not. You probably had a bad experience in a public world. But if you find a friend group, VR chat can literally become a lifestyle, and help you learn a lot of amazing things, and give you a better idea of where this XR industry is going, I would say. So, yes. Huh. Tom, more about CPU issues with increased FOV. Yeah, I'm not sure. I guess for that, not really sure. Steam for the Apple headset? I don't really know what. I don't know. Apple doesn't seem concerned about gaming much on their mixed reality headset, and people are working on the project or have worked on the project apparently find that to be a big mistake, and they complain about it. I don't know. Again, that's one reason why I would like the Apple headset to be more like similar to the Mac OS operating system, because they're already putting in the freaking M2 chip or whatever. I mean, it's clearly gonna be similar to Cambria, and Cambria's focused on productivity, just like prosumer stuff. So I don't know. I don't think it should be more like a phone. It should be more like a Mac, in my opinion, which lets people do whatever. Oh, well, lets people do more than what the iPhone does. Have you seen the Apple patent for direct light projection? So, yes, direct light projection. You're talking about directing light directly into the eyeballs without lenses. Still very far away. Not even just Apple trying that, but a lot of companies try it. I know laser beam scanning, they want to do that for into the retinas and stuff, but there's a lot of issues with it. There's a lot of issues still. We're not going to see that in a product for a very long time, I believe. VR chat is very limited compared to something like Neos. I go on Neos and VR chat. I do go on VR chat more because it's just a lot more accessible than Neos. Not even just talking about Quest compatibility, but like genuine. You know, you saw those pictures, right? Where I'm with all those people. I'm with like 40 people in my meetups, right? Neo starts to suffer a bit when you get to this level of people a lot of the time in most worlds. So it's just easier and more accessible to. But I love Neos. I think Neos is fantastic. I really love Neos. VR chat changed my life. Yeah. I think VR chat is like a life-changing event for some people. Literally learned a spoken language plus sign language. Dude, there's actually a ton of people who learn sign language just from VR chat, which is so sick. It's amazing how not even just sign language, but people learn like yoga, like they do dance lessons and stuff in VR chat. People are into yoga, like people go to church in VR chat. Like it's crazy what people learn and do in communities and VR chat. It's just a great platform for that stuff. As far as I'm concerned, VR chat is VR 4chan. I don't run into that. That's the problem. I literally do meetups or hang out with friends, and the people I surround myself with are usually Omega nerds. Public lobbies I will not touch. I will never go into public lobbies. Some people like doing that every day. I do not like public lobbies. So anyway, I'd prefer more Linux VR development. I still think Valve is very interested in so Cambria is Chromebook for the face. Apple headset's probably a MacBook for the face. Who's to say that Deckard, at some point, either by itself or with an accessory, will not be a Steam Deck for the face? Alright? That's the best way to describe that whole situation, I think. And when Google releases a mixed reality headset, it will actually be a Chromebook for the face. Because they make Chromebooks. So, Amazon, Fire tablet, Firebook for the, I don't know what Amazon makes, but it's pretty clear what like every company's going to make once you see just Meta and Apple what they make. Every company's going to be doing stuff like that, so it's not hard to figure out. I first remember entering an internet chat room in 1997 and blew my mind. Perhaps VR chat would feel like that for some users now. Exactly. Except in like a internet chat room, you couldn't. I mean, you were pretty limited what you could do for the most part. Like, I just think there's no limits to what you can see and do and talk about and show off in VR chat. Yes. Cambria won't see as wide as an adoption as the Quest due to the price, but I imagine Apple's. So, yes. Well, here's the. All right. I hate when. Here's my controversial opinion. That I've said a lot, and I know some people disagree, some people may agree. But so the Quest 2 adoption. Let's talk about the Quest 2 adoption a little bit. I think it's terrible as a baseline for the health of the XR industry using the Quest 2. The Quest 2 loses money on every unit sold. It's the only reason why XR developers were able to survive the past few years when XR got past its garbage period where all the hype died down. But no other competitors were willing to make a competitor to the Quest 2 because it loses money on every unit sold. So when you think about the fact that it's a $300 device that was really a gaming machine and could only support games that were basically glorified mobile apps due to the fact that, I mean, it is a mobile processor. It's amazing what they got out of it. But the Quest 2 and the fact that they sold 10 million units or whatever the past few years is a terrible like thing to look at as this is what VR should be. Right? Meta lost billions of dollars making the Quest 2. They lost billions of dollars selling the Quest 2. They lost billions of dollars making the next generations of the Quest 2. And all their competitors could not compete with it. So it actually made the XR industry in a worst case scenario. In my opinion. Yes, Cambria is going to be expensive. Apple's headset is going to be expensive. Valve Deckard is going to be expensive. They're all going to be expensive compared to the Quest 2. But if those high-end devices at least sell well enough, it doesn't have to sell Quest 2, which lost money on every unit, like a console. Those devices are more likely going to show off whether this industry we love so much is in a healthier state as we want, rather than the Quest 2. The Quest 2, the best thing that the Quest 2 did, in my opinion, was allow the developers to continue making VR games and fund the things that they really want to work on, the bigger projects that these high-end devices can support. That's the way I see the Quest 2. Yeah. What would a better baseline be? I literally think the better baseline will be what these high-end devices do. If they actually provide value to consumers or even prosumers, and like it. So, and that's another thing. The Quest 2 has been a gaming device. I know gaming is like mainstream, but even gamers, I talk to a lot of gamers and they still don't see VR as like what they want. Especially when they compare their games that release on PlayStation 5, compare the games that release on Quest 2, they're like, well, why? I rather just continue playing games on my couch on my PS5. They look so much better. They just, a lot more money is spent. There's a lot more AAA content. It's like that. But for Cambria and Apple headset, they're clearly not focusing on the gaming sector. They think that XR can do more than just gaming. They think XR can literally replace one day our smartphones or our laptops, or, that's what they always say, it's going to be a replacement. I don't think it's going to be a full-on replacement, but they think that XR can be a device where you can do more than just gaming, which is a very small subsector of what people do every day, right? If they succeed with this, then I think that would be a very good thing for XR, for the gaming side too. People adopted, the reason why PCs were first adopted was because they were spreadsheet machines. They were freaking spreadsheet machines for literally everyone who bought a $3,000 PC at the time, the 80s and 90s. But they started expanding all the use cases and better software started coming out. And then all of a sudden PC gaming was a possibility for people to like, oh, well, let's just throw good games on a PC. And I really feel like XR can follow the very similar pathway to that. So, yeah. I don't know. I mean, I might be crazy, but I just don't. I don't think the Quest 2 was a good baseline of the industry's health, because it was just a money loser for everyone except the developers that sold content on the store. And a lot of those developers didn't even want to sell content on the store, but I'm not gonna say we know there's some developers that just made Quest 2 content just to make a quick buck, right? Because there's all these consumers that bought this underpriced hardware, and they were thirsty for content, so they just kind of threw something together. And some content is like that, but not too many. But we need sustainability. Is Lynx still a thing? Yeah, Lynx is doing very well. They just got a serious funding run recently to get their supply chain pretty much reserved, right? Which is good. I think Lynx is gonna do great, by the way. I think Lynx is a great product. I don't have much to say about Lynx other than that. Yeah, we had a garbage period, guys. I don't know if you know this, but like after, starting in 2018, the VR hype and like all the, there was so much hype for VR in 2016 and 2017 among the supply chain, among the companies. Like, it was ridiculously high. But then people stopped buying like Vives in 2018, right? All the people that wanted to buy a VR headset pretty much bought one. And pretty much things just dropped to very sad levels to a point. That's a topic for another day, though. I don't think we need to talk about that now. You're not crazy. You're right. The baseline should be good products for reasonable prices, not sold. Yeah, I don't know. I can go on about this rant for a while, but I'm also a high-end user, so I kind of my opinions are also based on that bias. But I just really I don't know. Just the fact that only one company for 2 years, is almost 3 years? No, 2 years. The fact that only one company for 2 years could literally survive in this market and make and do what it did, and it was very obvious to everyone there was only one really real company in this industry doing anything. That's not a healthy market. That's not a healthy industry for sure. It's not. All the YouTubers said it, even though they were scared. Some of them were scared to say it because, you know, if you say anything bad about the one company that's literally owning the space, then you're not gonna get the content you want to talk about this industry you love. So it was just I really think this last 2 years have been a pretty unfortunate time period for the industry. Even though, again, the only good thing that came out of it was developers got to make money. So, what graphics card will be needed to power up 4K displays and VR headsets? Good question. It depends on depends on the optimizations that are going to be put into the SoCs and the hardware and the eye tracking, all that stuff for the headsets that include those. But the best way to think of it is it's frankly amazing that the Quest 2 basically runs 2K per eye with a SoC that is on 7 nanometer. It's a few years old. It does very well, right? And the reason why it does so well is because the people behind the Quest 2, the software teams, they are freaking gods at optimization. And you know, even with the Apple headset has been said for years, and it's probably true. That's gonna have two 4K per eye micro OLED displays, and it's a standalone headset. So it's clearly possible, but there's probably a lot of optimization magic going on there. So I don't know exactly what graphics card for PC are gonna need to use it. Depends again on what Valve does for like their new SoCs that are kind of working together a little bit. Yeah. I don't use a Quest 2. I don't use the Quest 2. It's actually my Quest 2. If you ever watch Thrill Seeker's water cooling a Quest 2 video, and it has like dog stickers on it, that's my Quest 2. It's pretty much unusable now. So I haven't used a Quest 2 in 6 months. Yes, he floated VR. Yes, Zuckerberg floated VR. That's what I'm saying. But he mostly floated the developers, right? Like, I'm glad he did that because developers, like, it would suck if Cloudhead Games, for example, were forced to shut down. Instead, they flourished, and they're going to be able to build better, higher end. They call their next content AAA. Cloudhead literally made an announcement saying their next games will be like AAA content. And that wouldn't be possible without the Quest 2. And then being able to make Pistol Whip work with Quest 2. So. Anyway. Brad, you alright? You often look exhausted. I'm feeling really good. Thank you for... I know I sometimes look exhausted. My eye sockets are very into my body. So it always looks like I'm tired. Like, I always look like I have rings around my eyes or whatever. But I'm good. Thank you for worrying about me. I've actually been really good the past couple months, I think, since I got a job, I would say. And I have a lot more financial stability, I guess. Helps a lot. I don't have to rely on people to donate to me on Patreon, even though that really helps. I was planning to go to AWE myself. So AWE is called Augmented... the Augmented event or something. I actually forgot the full name. Everyone just calls it AWE. But you're probably going to see a lot of content come out for AWE from a lot of YouTubers. I'm not making it to that event because it was a bit too expensive, the flights right now. You know, I just went to SID, which, again, I will say, going to SID was just... I'm so happy I chose SID over AWE because it was just very cool to see that 4K display. Yeah, I do though, and I'm looking into. So there's a man named Carl Guttag. I don't know if anyone here know him, but he's basically the guy that's responsible for the chips that were being put into ColecoVision and the NES. The actual Sprite. They're called Sprite chips, right? Yeah, he worked at Texas Instrument, and basically those companies cloned his chip or whatever. So that's super cool. He's very, very fun. I love Carl Guttag. And he's willing to actually like take pictures and stuff for me. And we might do like a podcast together based on what he's going to the event, and we might talk about what he sees. Um, so that'll be a cool little collaboration. So even though I'm not going, I'm hoping to be able to do some content about what's shown there. So yeah. Hi Brad, you like my Tilt 5 content? I didn't even do anything for my Tilt 5 content. I just let Jerry talk. Jerry Ellsworth. That's Jerry Ellsworth content as far as I'm concerned. Good hug. Carl got a lot of flack during the Magic League days. So Carl's a very, very bearish on AR. He's not much of a VR person. Like, he's spent like 0 times in VR. So he likes contacting me to hear my opinions about VR. Because I kind of fill him in on like, this is what the VR industry is doing and all that stuff, right? But he's very obsessed with like showing how difficult AR glasses are to do. And he was like saying, "Oh, Magic Leap is gonna be garbage, basically, and no one's gonna want to buy it." To be fair, he was right. like honestly, like Magic Leap, maybe people forgot, but that was like the most hyped AR glasses ever. And then they were positioning it for like consumers and everything, but how many of you have a Magic Leap headset in your hands in your office right now or whatever? Probably 1% of you, maybe. All right, so what stuff do you do outside the YouTube channel? I work for Live Community Management. In fact, I'm gonna make a video. If you guys ever like making YouTube or not even just YouTube, but if you like recording VR content, I'm gonna be doing an event. I'm gonna have a video talking more about this, but I'm currently working on a VR chat world for my company. I work for Live, and we're gonna be doing an event next Saturday to get feedback on what features people would like out of recording VR content. Like especially people who like ever use VR chat camera, like, you know, it's just like it basically is like recreating a phone. Our goal is to get a lot of that stuff in Live, which is just a great app for recording VR already, and we just want to make it easier for people. So I'll have a whole video talking about that. But I'm basically community manager, and I also work on like small stuff like that with Live. So is it Linux compatible? Live? Good question. I've never tried Live with. I mean, I know it's not Linux native. I've never tried it with Proton. I feel like it could it work? I have no idea if that will work. Never tried it. Anyway. Scissors face. He's waving scissors. Yeah. Yeah, Tilt 5's happening. They're like, I know it looked. The reason why people are worried Tilt 5 wasn't gonna happen is because it's like a Kickstarter. Kickstarters are always scary. I even told her to her face, like, yeah, I didn't kickstart Tilt 5 because I literally just don't trust Kickstarter. But she understands that. I still don't really. I've only supported one Kickstarter, and it was this one. It was this one right here. Only one I've ever kickstarted. Prominent VR enthusiast accidentally stabs one eye. Well, hey. Probably can make a joke about eye tracking there, but I don't know. Alright, everyone. Yep, we have 5 more minutes till I end the stream. So, final comments. What are you guys excited for this week? I mean, it seems like it just isn't like it kind of came out. It always feels like it comes out of nowhere. Where like there's all these possible VR announcements in 1 week. Pimax event, freaking Sony PSVR 2 games. My opinion on Slime VR, I think it's great. I have all the components to build my own Slime VR trackers because it's an open source thing, so that's super cool. I just haven't done it yet. But I do use these more because I already have lighthouses, Reno. When you already have lighthouses, there's not much reason not to use these trackers, right? So, but for people who don't have lighthouses, I definitely recommend stuff like Slime VR, 100%. Is there gonna be a recap? I'll make what's the words? I'm gonna make timestamps for this stream since I organize it pretty well into different genres, so it should be easy to make timestamps. Stonks one day. Yeah. Brad, do you recommend any headset for current CV1 owners? Well, that's always difficult because how much are you willing to spend? I feel like if you don't mind the meta stuff, I actually think Cambria is going to be a great headset, even if you... Well, I don't know. I just... It's such a hard question because, like, I even think Cambria is going to be a great headset for a lot of people, even if it's expensive, but I'm a high-end user. But if you've had your CV1 since 2016, like, people like you, if you're willing to pay a lot, something like Cambria or its competitors are going to be insane of an upgrade. People always ask me if they should buy an Index, and it pains me every time, but like I always tell them to wait for something. I don't know. It's weird because I don't really know when things are, like, I know Cambria is coming out in like September or whatever. Maybe a few other things will come out by then, but like I usually tell people it's already June. It's so hard for me to recommend a 3-year-old headset. And even though I use it every day, it pains me. But like it just Index still has a lot of features that other headsets don't have. But it's just like 3 years old. It's $1,000. It's so hard. It's so hard to recommend it to people, you know. How long after Cambria will the Pico... I don't think very long after Cambria will the Pico competitor release. It seems like it's going to be very close. At least that's what all the rumors have been saying. It's so heavy even compared to CV1. Are you talking about Index? CV1 was a pretty... very form factor headset, honestly. Yeah. I know Valve really knows. I'm sure there's like people. I'm sure there's like at least one person at Valve that watches my streams, and like when I complain about the Index, I'm sure they know, right? I'm sure they agree that this thing is 3 years old and it's time for something new. They're trying. They're like, we want to replace it. We want to replace it so bad. We feel you, Brad. We know. But yeah, these things take time. Do you ever think you'll be able to throw grenades properly with wireless inside-out tracking? Yeah. I think Cambria's way of putting the cameras on the controllers are going to solve that, literally. I think that's already going to be solved in those controllers. Yes. Because, really, it's just like we're already very reliant on IMU data. It was always the dead zones that it was really only the dead zones that caused the issues with throwing things with markerless inside-out tracking. But now there's going to be literally no dead zone with controllers that have cameras built into them. So yeah, it should be fixed with that. Will Cambria be like Quest 2 with massive input delay? When you say input delay, what do you mean? Like pressing buttons or like actual... I have no idea for either of those questions, honestly, now I'm thinking about it, because I don't know. That was the one thing I always worried about with the cameras in the controllers for Cambria, is like, are they gonna be? How fast are those cameras? I'm probably fast, honestly. Probably really fast. I'm gonna cut some hair right here. Cool. Do you think there will be a dedicated VR console system? Yes, yes, yes. I think there's gonna be a very common standard that a lot of companies are going to make. We already seen that kind of with the Pimax console, but they're just following one standard, right? Um, yeah, yeah. You're gonna see. I think AMD is going to be very smart with their APUs. AMD's been transitioning their business very hard to like making APUs of many kinds. It's probably one reason why they also they purchased Xilinx. But I wouldn't be surprised if you didn't see a lot of like PC VR consoles on the market focused for that thing that you just said that are running AMD APUs. Because basically that's what PS5s are and Xbox consoles. They're all just AMD APUs, but they're closed down, right? It doesn't take much for like a company like Valve to make a Steam box or something with a custom APU or semi-custom APU focused on VR, in my opinion. Going from my CB1 that I've owned since 2017 to controller and display. I've never had people mention that issue. You might be very sensitive to it, which is very interesting. I don't use I don't use the so I'm like the worst person to ask these questions because I don't use my Quest 2. I still use an Index, which is very similar probably to CB1 with the like. I wonder if your CPU is very slow at compressing the data before it's sent over, and that's why you're having this weird latency going on. But probably not. I don't know. All right. Uh, Valve Steam Box is down the Steam Deck. Well, I'm just saying like there was a YouTuber that was saying that there might be a Steam console one day. I'm not sure, maybe, but I do think there is gonna be like a standard PC VR console thing. But yeah, I just don't know if Valve's gonna make one. What PSVR 2 games? We'll talk about that in my stream. Anyway, guys, that's it. I'm gonna stream all that stuff later this week. I'm gonna set a schedule for multiple streams probably throughout the week because there's a lot of stuff going on. So thank you everyone for sitting by again and listening to me rant for 2 hours and 5 minutes. If you want to support me, please like this stream. Or if you want to give me money, go to bradsmells.com/Patreon. Yeah. All right. You're late to the party? Yes, you are. Goodbye.